Welcome to our kickoff episode of OSD Go Read First Chapter Fridays. I'm Dr. Beth Zirianis, and I'm joined by
Diane Provito
and Jessica Keegan.
And we are really excited to share with you over the next couple of weeks the first chapters of some really great books. We are going to be sharing some great books with our middle grade audience, our students in grades 5 through 8, as well as our high school audience. And for our two first books, we are going to be doing for our middle grade audience our new book, The Unteachables by Gordon Korman. So many of our students and staff read Restart, and this is the latest book from that very wonderful author. And for our high school audience, we are going to be sharing the first chapter of Little Fires Everywhere. Check this book out because it's soon to be a limited series on Hulu starring Reese Witherspoon and Kerry Washington. So you want to read it before you actually watch it on TV. So welcome to First Chapter Fridays. We'll hope you will join us over the next 2 months, and we're ready to get started. Right, so we're going to share the first chapter of Little Fires Everywhere, and we're going to get started. Everyone in Shaker Heights was talking about it that summer. How Isabel, the last of the Richardson children, had finally gone around the bend and burned the house down. All spring the gossip had been about little Mirabelle McCullough, or depending which side you were on, Mei Ling Chow. And now, at last, there was something new and sensational to discuss. A little afternoon on that Saturday in May, the shoppers pushing their grocery carts in Heinen's heard the first engines wail to life and careen away toward the duck pond. By 12:15, there were 4 of them parked in haphazard red line along Parkland Drive, where all 6 bedrooms of the Richardson house were ablaze, and everyone within a half a mile could see the smoke rising over the trees like a black, dense thundercloud. Later, people would say that the signs had been there all along, that Izzy was a little lunatic, that there had always been something off about the Richardson family, that as soon as they heard the sirens that morning, they knew something terrible had happened. By then, of course, Izzy would be long gone, leaving like no one to defend her, and people could, and did, say whatever they liked. At the moment the fire truck arrived, though, and for quite a while afterward, no one knew what was happening. Neighbors clustered as close to the makeshift barrier, a police cruiser parked crosswise a few hundred yards away, as they could, and watched the firefighters unreel their hoses with the grim faces of men who recognized a hopeless cause. Across the street, the geese at the pond ducked their heads underwater for weeds, wholly unruffled by the commotion.
Mrs. Richardson stood on the tree lawn, clutching the neck of her pale blue robe closed. Although it was already afternoon, she had still been asleep when the smoke detectors had sounded. She had gone to bed late and had slept in on purpose, telling herself she deserved it after a rather difficult day. The night before, she had watched from an upstairs window as a car had finally pulled up in front of the house. The driveway was long and circular, a deep horseshoe arc bending from the curb to the front door and back. So the street was a good 100 feet away, too far for her to see clearly, and even in May at 8 o'clock, it was almost dark besides. But she had recognized the small tan Volkswagen of her tenant, Mia, its headlights shining. The passenger door opened and a slender figure emerged, leaving the door ajar. Mia's teenage daughter, Pearl. The dome light lit the inside of the car like a shadow box, but the car was packed with bags nearly to the ceiling, and Mrs. Richardson could only just make out the faint silhouette of Mia's head, the messy top-notch perched at the crown of her head. Pearl bent over the mailbox, and Mrs. Richardson imagined the faint squeak as the mailbox door opened, then shut. Then Pearl hopped back into the car and closed the door. The brake lights flared red, then winked out, and the car puttered off into the growing night. With a sense of relief, Mrs. Richardson had gone down to the small mailbox and found a set of keys on a plain ring, with no note. She had planned to go over in the morning and check the rental house on Winslow Road, even though she already knew that they would be gone.
It was because of this that she had allowed herself to sleep in.